Halo Reach Firefight and Halo 3 ODST Firefight are two very different ball games when discussing a sort of weapon tier list. The two major differences being armor abilities and the ammo crate. While I won't be counting armor abilities towards the ranking of the weapons, you've probably guessed that weapons that get resupplied from the ammo crate will be higher than others. As always, I will be using heroic difficulty as a baseline for damage, as that's the default firefight mode. So let's start out with the worst firefight weapon. The worst weapon in Halo Reach, in my opinion, is the Needler. The Needler doesn't really have anything special going for it in regards to killing enemies. The needles don't pierce shields in Reach, so they become ineffective against elites. The Needler is okay against grunts, brutes, and jackals. However, with enemies having increased mobility and tough luck being on, and the absolute dog water range, I see no reason to pick up the Needler. In fact, the Needler also has a brother called the Needle Rifle, which is much more helpful and has the range and power to back it up, making the Needler completely worthless. The next contender for possibly the worst weapon is the Concussion Rifle. In difficulties lower than Heroic, the Concussion Rifle can one-shot enemies like grunts, jackals, and skirmishers. However, anything after that, it falls off dramatically. It's a close quarters, low damaging projectile weapon that, while fun to use in other firefight modes, on Heroic, this gun is absolutely horrible and will get you killed. In ODST, I put the Spiker in D tier, when in reality I think I would bump it up to a C tier. For Reach though, I think it's more deserved to be in the D tier. The weapon only spawns from the brutes, and funny enough, the Spiker is really good against them. In fact, the Spiker is great against a lot of unshielded enemies. However, that doesn't say a lot considering the fact that much better weapons exist for doing both shield and unshielded damage. The Spiker's ammo can be lackluster if you don't get lucky with brute spawns, and the weapon struggles at medium to long ranges, and if you get bug rounds, well, good luck trying to hit any of them. I had a tough time trying to put the Plasma Repeater in this tier list. Is it on par with the Plasma Rifle with its shield stripping capabilities, or is it just an assault rifle clone specifically made for the invasion game mode? Well, it's the second option, and unfortunately, that's not a good thing. Let's compare it to the other guns that are similar to it. The assault rifle has unlimited ammo and hit scan properties, making it easier to hit your shots. The plasma rifle has much more powerful shield stripping capabilities and is much more accurate. The plasma repeater is very much useless in firefight, except when it comes to an elite charging you down, then it one-clips you somehow. The focus rifle is a very interesting weapon in a sense that it's a replacement for the beam rifle. The beam rifle was the human equivalent to the sniper rifle. The focus rifle is not as good as the beam rifle in firefight, however I can't say that the weapon is entirely useless. It does alright damage towards shielded targets like elites, and of course grunts and jackals and the like. The map will influence your choice on whether or not to use this weapon. The first UNSC weapon on this list, and it's even one of the weapons you can use at the start, meaning you can refill your ammo at any time at the ammo lockers. However, what good is a grenade launcher if enemies can dodge it with ease and just shrug off hits? The Tough Luck Skull makes it harder to hit enemies with, and the Catch Skull gives you plenty of grenades to use. The grenade launcher should be used at close to medium range, and it can help you out with vehicles with its EMP effect. But there are better weapons that are so much easier to use and do the same thing. The UNSC grenade is okay, that's it. It doesn't resupply from the lockers and there are limited ammo pickups for it lying around the area. I'm gonna put it right above the grenade launcher because it doesn't take up a weapon slot, and of course, spamming them at the enemy will always get you out of a pinch since Tough Luck is always on. And of course, spamming them after a phantom drop can get you some easy kills. So, remember at the start where I said armor abilities wouldn't be a factor? Well, ignore that for these three weapons, as the close range weapons kinda rely on them. The quote for quote worst of them, in my opinion, would be the shotgun. While the shotgun is able to replenish ammo from the ammo locker, and the damage has been improved from Halo 3, it's unfortunately not that good in a firefight setting. The weapon can be very inconsistent. Best case scenario is that you one-shot weaker enemies and two-shot elites and brutes. But most likely you'll have to finish them off with a third or even a melee, which can bite you in the ass later, especially if that enemy has allies running around. The energy sword being able to consistently 1 to 2 shot elites and brutes makes it pretty good at countering enemies deciding to rush you down. Unfortunately, it requires you to get close to your enemy, which, due to the heroic difficulty being on, it is better to use these weapons for defensive rather than offensive play. But that's where your armor abilities can help you out. Just take what I said about the energy sword and apply it to the gravity hammer. The only reason it's higher is because it has an area effect that can damage more enemies around you. The Spartan laser is kind of disappointing if you're coming from Halo 3 or ODST. They cut the shots used from 5 to 4, and while the weapon is still great against fighting vehicles with, the rocket launcher was given back its ability to lock on to targets and it can do splash damage. I use the weapon to fight against banshees and high-ranking enemies, though with the reduced damage that I think it's been given, I think this is a perfect place to put it. The sniper rifle is pretty good at long-range engagement, and if you can hit your shots, it can be a great weapon for taking down a couple of the harder-to-kill enemies. It would be higher if it had more ammunition for it, but overall, a good weapon to hold on to. So, the plasma launcher is another one of those weird weapons where it pretty much fires homing plasma grenades. It's great against elites and brutes at medium ranges and can go toe-to-toe with light vehicles and hunters. The reason it's between B and A tier is because enemies can dodge it at certain ranges, and it doesn't drop as frequently as I would like. While the rocket launcher hasn't changed too much from ODST to Reach, the one big thing that has changed was the lock-on feature making a return from the older Halo games. And with that, makes destroying vehicles a tad bit easier than ODST's counterpart. I can't put it in A tier due to its limited ammo, but I also don't want to put it in B tier due to its usefulness. So the target locator at first glance may just seem like a glorified rocket launcher that is harder to get more than 1 or 2 kills with. But using the target locator before a phantom drop or locking onto a phantom at the right time can completely clear half the wave for you. And if you do it on the last wave where there are upgraded elites and brutes, it can seriously help your team a lot. Just make sure none of your team members are near the blast. So the heavy plasma turret is pretty good at mowing down a majority of the basic infantry. The only downside is the movement speed, and heavier infantry types will in fact get the better of you with this. The UNSC turret is pretty much like the heavy plasma turret, except it's a tad better at a range. The plasma rifle is a great alternative to the plasma pistol or assault rifle. While both of the options would be debatably better, the shield stripping capabilities the plasma rifle has is amazing, and if you want a more medium range shield stripping side weapon, then this is your go-to weapon. It just slides under S tier though for the other options doing a better job and having better ammo. The needle rifle is an alternative to the DMR and it falls short. While being able to super combine non-shielded enemies and headshot from a range, the two main issues with this weapon is, firstly, the ammo. Why would you want to scavenge ammo for this weapon when you can spawn it with the DMR and you can be easily refilled? And secondly, the super combine. The super combine mechanic makes enemies dive out of the way, and as such makes them harder to hit a headshot or fully commit to the super combine. But even with all that, I think it's a solid choice. An absolute beast of a weapon. This weapon is great to carry around as a side and can help you deal with slower moving enemies such as brutes, hunters, and the high ranking elites as well as vehicles. But it can be quite hard to hit elites due to the tough luck skull, and ammo is wildly varying from barely any to quite a bit of it, and that's why I think it's an A tier weapon for me. So the assault rifle isn't the best in Reach. The weapon bloom is kind of a mess and the damage isn't anything special, but it can be used to strip shields quite effectively at certain ranges, and if enemies get close to you, spamming the assault rifle is enough to take them down. If you don't want to rock a plasma weapon, then this is an okay alternative, and, well, it comes with the DMR, which, you know, is one of the better weapons. The plasma grenade is great for dealing with groups of enemies or spawn camping them from a phantom, Enemies drop a lot of them, especially now that it's going to be your only grenade type besides the UNSC one. Although reach his throw is pretty pitiful, a bit of practice will negate that. The Magnum is more or less a discounted DMR, having huge weapon bloom, a short mag, and much shorter range. However, even considering all that, the weapon is able to headshot, does alright damage against shields, comes with a scope, you can use it for longer ranges with that scope, and you have unlimited ammo to use it with. Typically people who choose different loadouts will end up using the pistol as a primary, and use the other weapons like a grenade launcher or shotgun as their secondary. The plasma pistol is an amazing secondary weapon for any headshot weapon. You guys know how good it is, being able to delete shields, EMP vehicles, and enemies drop a lot of them. Okay, so the DMR is just so damn good in Firefight. Unlimited ammo, long range capabilities, good shield damaging capabilities, being able to headshot, and of course comes with my favorite Spartan ability, Sprint. In fact, its only downside is that if enemies get close to you, you don't have many options in that regard, but it can be negated by keeping your distance, or keeping a plasma weapon, or just watching out on your radar and headshotting them. That's all the weapons for Halo Reach Firefight. Thank you so much for watching. I know many of you will place certain weapons in certain spots or just completely disagree with me. That's okay. Leave a comment and tell me what you guys would change with this list. Thank you guys, and take care.